Listen to the Vibes.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Listen to the Vibes. All the way from Canada, we have Kara Michelle, and she's got quite the story to tell. And I'm just going to leave it to her to tell her life story. It's like a superhero origin story, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
How are
I
you?
like to think of it that way sometimes. Yeah, I'm great. How are you?
Wonderful.
Well, I guess to give a little intro for everyone listening, when I was, let's just say like about 10 years ago, 9 years ago, my brother passed away. And that was kind of the first big thing that happened in my life and set me on my path. So I am now a holistic life coach, Reiki master. I'm big into meditation and mindfulness, and all of my kind of spiritual journey and personal healing journey started from losing my brother. And a couple years after he passed, then I was also sexually assaulted, and then I had a really traumatic car accident. So those were kind of the three big things that set my life in motion, I guess, and really changed the trajectory of what I was doing. For me, it definitely took some time, for sure. And I think it's interesting with grief because you do always hear people say like it doesn't necessarily get better, it just gets different, right, as time goes by. So the first few years were really, really hard. And I would say for me, I think it was maybe like I definitely started looking for answers and trying to find healing and purpose and some kind of meaning to what had happened right away. But in terms of like actually taking more solid actions with like travel or with different programs and different kind of ways of learning and healing, that probably came about year 3 or year 4 after he passed.
Okay. I know I used a lot of drugs and alcohol to kind of, it wasn't even really coping. It was just to try to forget the day,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think you look at any kind of like substance use, really, I think it usually is like, it is just kind of our coping mechanism of a way to try and get through what heaviness has gone on. And I know for me, like, because my brother, he had an allergic reaction to a prescription drug. So for me, I really like steer clear from a lot of things because of the nature of how he passed. But I think otherwise I would have definitely kind of turned to that to get through, because it is so heavy to be working through the loss of someone you love, and you feel so alone.
So I guess your
Yeah.
family has kind of leaned on you a little bit since you've gone on this journey, huh?
Yeah, in a sense, I've kind of been able to bring some of the tools and the things that I've learned back, and we've all been grieving in our own ways, I guess, too, because of the different relationships we had to my brother, and the different lifestyles we live. So for me, it definitely fueled like that desire for more and like to find happiness and make the most out of my time here, because it really felt like if life could end so quickly and we don't know when our time is up, like, why aren't all of us just enjoying our lives? Why aren't we doing the things that we love instead of staying stuck in unhappy situations?
Exactly.
So that was definitely kind of how I handled it, and what actions I took.
Okay, now this is a little touchy subject. I'm just going to let you tell your story.
The more I've kind of talked about my own experience with sexual assault, the more I realize that I really am not alone. And I think in some ways that vulnerability has kind of helped me to create more connections, because sadly that is a thing that a lot of us are connected by. So for me, it was in my university, and it was kind of still during my grieving process. And then to have that, I think for anyone who's a victim of sexual assault or yeah, anything like that, it's that loss of control, and it really makes you feel small and feel like yeah, I don't know how to word it even, but it really makes you feel powerless, I guess, because it doesn't feel like you're respected or you're heard, or I know I had a lot of guilt and shame for a while too, and felt like it was my fault somehow, or that nobody would believe me. And it's when you look at trauma and how we carry that in the body, it really is such a heavy thing that so many people carry for years and years, and it's just like it's always there, right?
Exactly. Well, and the thing is you'll see television shows or movies and things where it happens to someone, and everybody's like, why don't you just tell somebody? But number one, you're embarrassed. And number two, just like you said, you don't know if anybody's even going to believe what you say anyhow. And it's almost like it's your fault that it happened. And you can't make people understand unless they've been through it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that is why so many people suffer in silence after that, because it's so hard to finally speak up or share it. And it's just such a strange situation that people get kind of stuck in, and that victim, that guilt that you have afterwards, even though I know for me, I logically knew that I didn't do anything wrong, and yet still emotionally or something, there was this feeling like, oh, but what if I did? Or, it's such a weird, like, catch-22.
Yeah, it is hard to explain. Okay, so you've already gone and dealt with the death of your brother, and now you've gone on and you've been sexually assaulted, and then to top it off, it's like one thing after another. As we say down here, when it rains, it pours. You get into a bad car wreck. So, I mean, when do you get to the point where you look up at the sky and say, hey, God, when are you going to give me a break?
Yeah, I think I kind of did that after each of those times. And I just kind of kept being like, what is going on here? And after the car accident, that was definitely the final straw, where I just really felt like, okay, I mean, I hit black ice while driving across Canada, and that's how the accident happened. And I flipped, and then I rolled 4 times, and like I was very fortunate to have like no physical injuries, like a little bit of whiplash, but I just kind of thought, okay, the fact that I'm still here, like, to me, there's got to be something more than this, and like it can't just be this victim story forever. It can't just be more and more struggles forever. There has to be a reason these things keep happening. And I think that was the time where I kind of went like, God, universe, angels, whatever's out there, like, someone please guide me and help me, find my way through this, because I don't want to be carrying the weight of this forever. And but I don't know what to do, really. When we are going through hard times, it's really easy to compare to other people. And I know I looked at friends and like classmates and teammates, and I'd just be like, you're complaining about this little thing that's happened in your life, and like, are you not getting this? Like, look at all these things I'm trying to work through. And there was this big comparison mode, and I know it took me some time to get over that too, and realize like, okay, Kara, just because you're going through it doesn't mean everyone will, doesn't mean they'll understand it, but you also don't need to hold. I think I had like a bit of resentment to other people for a while too, because I did feel like my life was so much harder. Yeah.
But then again, we don't always know what other people are going through.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's a perfect point, because more often than not, and the more I've like done this kind of work and even interacted with more people, the more we realize, yeah, there's always something going on below the surface, and nobody has a perfect life. We all have struggles and hardships. So um, you never know what someone's carrying. Something I truly hope for the world, and I feel like things like this, podcasts and social media in some ways um, can bring this connection for people, because these things need to be talked about, and we need to have the safe space to share about things that we're working through,
Exactly.
and not carry everything on our own shoulders, because it's too heavy for all of us, right?
Exactly. Did you get to that point where you felt like, you just needed to end it all?
For me, after losing my brother, there were moments for sure where I never got to a point where I thought of doing anything, but I had that idea in my mind of like, you know, if something just came and ended my life right now, I'd be happy. And like that
Mm.
kind of feeling, because I just really he was my best friend too, so like I just really wanted to be back with him. Um, so I definitely had some of those moments for sure.
Mm. Well, you've taken something very negative and you've turned it into something positive. Now, what got you actually interested in doing what you did? I mean, other than the tragedies you went through, I mean, did somebody introduce this to you or something you read about? I mean, how did it come about? I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah. So I was always fascinated by kind of like the spiritual side of things too, and like looking for answers, and trying to figure out like why we're on this earth. Like
Mm.
what's the point of this? And I remember even when I was like 7 or 8, I asked my mom, like, what is the point of this? And if we're all gonna die anyway, like, why, why don't I, like, why am I even here right now? Like, I didn't understand it. Um, and I was always also very interested in like psychology and mindset and how the brain works. So I think it kind of was a slow progression for me working through each of these traumas, starting to look for something that could bring me some hope and some peace throughout all of it. And that really just started to open up doors of like, you know what, I really deeply connected to the fact that there had to be more than just this physical existence in life. And that helped me to kind of keep myself going and like looking for ways to get through.
Okay, and part of your journey is taking you to holistic medicine, right? Is that what I read?
Yeah, so like I do not like holistic health coaching, but just looking at life coaching through a lens of like what kind of tools can we use to naturally heal these things. And um, basically it's a lot of releasing work and some mindset work and subconscious reprogramming, like really getting into these things that we are carrying and holding and identifying with,
Right.
releasing them, letting them go, so that then you kind of have that opportunity to create this new blank slate for yourself where you're not feeling weighed down by all those things from the past.
Okay. And you also said you're into Reiki.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Okay, you see, you have to explain this because I know a lot of people have heard it, but they don't know exactly what Reiki is.
Yeah, so Reiki is basically just a form of like energy work. And so um what you learn with that is, we're all energetic beings, and trauma especially can be stored in the body and kind of cause these blockages. So um for instance, like after sexual assault, for me, like the root chakra and the sacral chakra, which are the two lower ones, are related to like your sex center and your sense of safety, your sense of security. for me, there was a lot of blockages there because of the experience, and Reiki was actually something that really helped me. And I would have thought it was absolutely crazy had I not tried it myself,
Right.
because it was just this really transformative experience where, I finally saw, okay, this is something I was still carrying without being aware of it. So it's kind of like with acupuncture, we have our meridians going throughout the body, and you can have a trigger point, say in your shoulder, but it's with the meridian and goes down your leg, or however. It's similar with the energy body, and just helping to create the flow so your body can do what it would normally be doing, and your energy can be moving the way it would normally be moving had you not had the trauma or not had the struggles or the belief systems and the things that are kind of limiting you.
Right. Well, a lot of people look at Reiki masters and holistic people as they're just another form of a snake charmer or what have you,
The human body is so fascinating, and I think we are perfectly created. Everything is regulated to keep us alive and keep us functioning. But sometimes there are things that show up. I used to have a lot of chronic pain and injuries. I played university volleyball, and my shoulders got to the point, they were so bad that I struggled to lift my arms above my head to shampoo my hair. I was in so much pain, and I found this amazing acupuncturist, and I remember it was our second session, and he's like, I'm just gonna put these needles in your knee. And I was kind of like, well, no, it's my shoulder. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
And he's like, okay, I'm gonna put it in your knee, and I'm gonna get you to just like rotate your shoulder in forward circles while I kind of like adjust this little needle here. And I was so skeptical, but I'm not kidding you. At the end of that session, I walked out of there and both of my shoulders felt like I hadn't had shoulder issues. And like,
Wow.
I was moving them properly. The pain was gone. I was just blown away. I do mostly coaching, and then also Reiki and energy work is definitely a part of it. And I know meditation's been a big thing of my life, and I used to be super anxious and like overthinking all the time, and I still have my moments, but with meditation, I feel like I'm a lot more zen than I probably would have been in the past.
If people want to get a hold of you to get these kind of services, how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so the best place would be my website, which is karamichelle.co.
Okay.
And so it's Kara with a K. And or on Instagram, it's real Kara Michelle. But yeah, I have some great free resources on my website as well, different bundles and challenges and training. So it's really the website's a great place to start if they're looking for some help with any of these things. Thank you so much, and for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, I appreciate you. Thank you for sharing your story. I know some of it's not easy to talk about, but
yeah,
thank you.
But it's good. If it can help someone, then that's what it's here for, right?
That's exactly it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank y'all for joining us. Take care.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Listen to the Vibes. You can catch us on Buzzsprout or wherever you listen to your favourite podcasts. And on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook at The Vibes Broadcast Network